One of the most egregious failures of the Biden Justice Department was its refusal to protect judges and Supreme Court justices. As you know, in May of 2022, an unknown individual leaked to Politico the draft of the Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, the opinion that finally overturned Roe versus Wade. That leak was a crime. It was a theft of government property under 18 U.S.C. Section 641, and it was an unauthorized disclosure of confidential information under 18 U.S.C. Section 1905. General Bondi, do you agree that leaking that opinion was a criminal act?
In Washington, the stage is rarely quiet. Between laughter, sharp wit, and hard truths, the Senate floor once again became a battleground of conviction and controversy. Amid the banter about books, Backstreet Boys, and broken systems came a reminder of what's truly at stake: the rule of law, the safety of the courts, and the soul of American justice. This wasn't just another hearing. It was a clash between humor and hard evidence, between politics and principle. And at the center of it all, voices demanding accountability and answers.
Well, thank you, but I will welcome Senator Kennedy providing color commentary throughout my question.
I will be happy to. If we ever finish this hearing this year.
And I'll point out Senator Kennedy has a new book about testing negative for stupid, so I hope I test negative for stupid. I hope I meet the threshold of your book.
You do meet it, and I talk in the book about the tattoo of the Backstreet Boys on your back.
Look, I can't help that you don't want to reach young people. I think young people are the future, damn it, and I'll do whatever steps are needed.
The Backstreet Boys?
That would be on Vice President Vance's playlist, I heard, that got hacked.
General Bondi, welcome. I apologize for injecting you in the middle of Senator Kennedy's antics. We can't help him. Thank you for the job you're doing. You are doing a tremendous job keeping this country safe. And our families are safer because you were on that wall. Our families are safer because you are returning the Department of Justice to its core function, which is enforcing the law and locking up bad guys. We saw for 4 years, under the Biden administration, we saw the Department of Justice politicized and weaponized, and we saw them refuse to do their core function. More than 12 million illegal aliens flooded into this country, and the Biden Justice Department seemed to think its job was letting murderers and gangbangers and rapists go. And the results in just a few months that you've been able to produce are tremendous. Arrests of violent criminals are up 125% since the Biden administration. Fentanyl trafficking prosecutions have risen 42% since fiscal year 2023. DOJ has coordinated with DHS to remove over 220,000 criminal illegal aliens this year alone. Under your leadership as Attorney General, you have helped rescue 4,000 children from predators and helped arrest 1,300 child predators and 285 human traffickers. In my home state of Texas, Operation Soteria Shield resulted in the rescue of 109 children. Thank you, Attorney General Bondi. Texans are safer because you are serving. Americans are safer because you are serving. You have a big task cleaning up the messes of the Biden DOJ. One of the most egregious failures of the Biden Justice Department was its refusal to protect judges and Supreme Court justices. As you know, in May of 2022, an unknown individual leaked to Politico the draft of the Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, the opinion that finally overturned Roe versus Wade. That leak was a crime. It was a theft of government property under 18 U.S.C. Section 641, and it was an unauthorized disclosure of confidential information under 18 U.S.C. Section 1905. General Bondi, do you agree that leaking that opinion was a criminal act?
Senator, I can't discuss anything regarding that matter. That should answer your question.
Well, I will say this. The leak occurred in 2022. So the 5-year statute of limitations has not expired. And I'm going to ask you, if it is not happening already, to direct the FBI to investigate and find the leaker. The leaker has not been exposed, the leaker has not been identified, and the FBI has far greater investigatory tools at its disposal than does the Marshal Service. And when it comes to defending the rule of law, when it comes to the integrity of our court system, having partisan law clerks, and I believe in all likelihood it is a law clerk who leaked it, leaking opinions designed to try to pressure the court politically is a gross subversion of the integrity of the court. And so I would ask you as Attorney General to direct the FBI to use every resource possible to investigate, to find the leaker, and when you identify the leaker, to prosecute the leaker for that criminal conduct.
Thank you, Senator Cruz.
All right, I want to turn, secondly, after that decision was leaked. I believe the leak was part of a broader effort to intimidate and to threaten and harass justices into trying to get them to change their decision. And we saw mobs assemble outside the homes of multiple justices. Do you agree, General, that the mobs that came outside the homes of justices were there to intimidate the court and to try to influence the justice's decision?
100%.
Well, as you know, federal law, in particular 18 U.S.C. Section 1507, makes it a crime to picket or parade outside a judge's home, quote, with the intent of influencing that judge's decision. That statute is crystal clear. And I will point out, these protests happened in 2022. So just like the leak, the 5-year statute of limitations has not expired on these protests. But unfortunately, the Biden Department of Justice didn't give a damn about prosecuting this statute because President Biden and Merrick Garland and the political hacks at DOJ disagreed with the Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs and were perfectly fine turning a blind eye to violent protesters threatening the justices and their children. You may recall I questioned Attorney General Garland about this statute, and he admitted under oath that not a single protester had been prosecuted. And he blamed the Marshal Service. He said the problem was the marshals, quote, didn't make arrests. Well, subsequent documents told a different story. Internal training materials obtained reveals that the marshals were explicitly instructed not to arrest protesters under Section 1507. So the reason there was no arrest is because a political decision was made that we like what the protesters are protesting for, and we, the Department of Justice, are not going to protect the safety of justices. We're going to allow them to be victims of an intimidation and threatening campaign. Just as I asked you with regard to the Dobbs opinion, I would ask you to direct the FBI to review the footage of these protests, to review the evidence that exists in terms of who engaged in it, and will you commit that anyone who you can prove violated 18 U.S.C. Section 1507 will face consequences and face prosecution?
Senator, we currently have 63 ongoing investigations involving judges and officials throughout this country. That scene that you're showing will not happen under my watch. It will not happen under Donald Trump's presidency. It doesn't matter if you're a liberal judge or a conservative judge or justice. That will not happen.
Amen. And that point that General Bondi made is very important. I would be equally outraged if you had nuts in front of the liberal justices. I'd say arrest them and throw them in jail. Violence is unacceptable, regardless of whether I agree or disagree with your politics. And violence, particularly fueled by rhetoric by irresponsible politicians, violence can result. And tragically, it resulted in one deranged individual traveling from California to Maryland with the intention of murdering Justice Brett Kavanaugh. As you know well, this deranged individual was arrested outside the justice's house. He was arrested with a kill kit. He was arrested with a gun, with handcuffs, with duct tape, with zip ties, and with the intention of murdering Justice Kavanaugh, very possibly murdering Justice Kavanaugh's wife and two daughters, and potentially murdering two other Supreme Court justices.
Senator Ronald.
As you know, just this week, a left-wing Biden-appointed judge sentenced this attempted murderer, this attempted assassin, to just 8 years. The Department of Justice asked for 30 years.
That's right.
And that judge downward departed by 22 years. Why? Because this left-wing judge said that the attempted murderer was transgender. And because he identifies as transgender, apparently it's okay to try to kill a Supreme Court justice if your politics are sufficiently woke. Now, I know you have said the Department of Justice is going to appeal, and you absolutely should. I called this week, I believe this judge should be impeached because the judge has demonstrated she is completely unfit to be a federal judge. And what is your view of the justice of this sentence of just 8 years for the attempted murder of a Supreme Court justice?
I was speaking with our prosecutor, Ms. Mal, who did an incredible job on this case. She did an incredible job. And yet, this judge gave 8 years. And the judge also would not refer to the defendant by his biological name, referred to him by the pronouns, and was concerned about the treatment that this individual would get regarding a sex change while in prison. And we are appealing that sentence. I immediately said we are appealing that sentence.
Thank you.
But my prosecutors did an incredible job on that case.
And the judge wanted to put him in a women's prison.
Before Senator.
Not going to happen, excuse me, I'm sorry, Chairman. That's not going to happen in the Bureau of Prisons now.
Before Senator Ronald, without objection, I'd like to introduce 3 FBI 1023 forms into the record.
In the corridors of Washington, politics isn't just debated, it's performed. Every word, every laugh, every accusation carries weight. And on this day, beneath the polished marble and polite applause, the U.S. Senate became a stage for something far greater than political theater. It became a reflection of America's soul. It began almost lightheartedly, a moment of levity between senators, with jokes about books, Backstreet Boys, and testing negative for stupid. The kind of humor that, in any other place, might break tension. But beneath the smiles and laughter lay a storm waiting to erupt. When Senator Ted Cruz took the microphone, the tone shifted sharply. The humor drained from the room. The senator from Texas wasn't there to trade jokes. He came with facts, frustration, and fire. He turned to Attorney General Bondi, the new face of the Department of Justice, and began not with accusation, but with praise. He spoke of a return to strength, a return, as he put it, to enforcing the law and locking up bad guys. Under Bondi's leadership, he said, arrests of violent criminals had surged 125%. Fentanyl trafficking prosecutions were up 42%. Thousands of children rescued from predators. Thousands of human traffickers behind bars. To Cruz, this wasn't just a record, it was redemption. Redemption after what he described as 4 years of political weaponization under the Biden Justice Department. 4 years where, in his words, law enforcement had forgotten its purpose. But his tone soon darkened. His words turned from celebration to confrontation. He brought up a moment that shook the very foundations of America's judiciary, the leak of the Supreme Court's draft decision in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization. It was May 2022 when Politico published that historic leak, a leak that revealed, before the court was ready, that Roe v. Wade would be overturned. For many, it was a shocking glimpse behind the veil of judicial secrecy. For Cruz, it was something more sinister, a crime. Under federal law, he said, that leak constituted the theft of government property and the unauthorized disclosure of confidential information. It wasn't just wrong, it was illegal. And yet, 3 years later, the leaker has never been found. The senator leaned forward, his voice rising. General Bondi, do you agree that leaking that opinion was a criminal act? The Attorney General's answer was brief, careful, the kind of answer that tells you there's more she can't say than what she can. Senator, I can't discuss anything regarding that matter. That silence said enough. Cruz pressed harder. The statute of limitations hadn't expired. There was still time. Direct the FBI, he demanded. Find the leaker. Prosecute them. Defend the integrity of our court. For a moment, the chamber was still. But that wasn't all. Cruz turned next to what he called the second act of the attack on America's justice system, the intimidation of Supreme Court justices. After the Dobbs leak, protests erupted outside the homes of several justices. Angry crowds shouted into the night, signs waved, emotions flared. For some, it was free speech. For others, it was a threat. Under federal law, specifically 18 U.S.C. Section 1507, it's illegal to picket or parade outside a judge's home with the intent to influence their decision. Yet, as Cruz pointed out, not a single protester had been prosecuted. The reason, according to Cruz, was politics. The Biden DOJ, he said, simply didn't give a damn. When then Attorney General Merrick Garland was questioned about it, he blamed the U.S. Marshals, saying they hadn't made arrests. But Cruz revealed documents suggesting otherwise, that marshals were told not to arrest anyone. That revelation sent shockwaves through the room. The idea that law enforcement had been instructed to ignore violations of federal law for political convenience was nothing short of explosive. Cruz turned again to Bondi. Will you commit that anyone proven to have violated Section 1507 will face prosecution? This time the answer was firm. We currently have 63 ongoing investigations involving judges and officials throughout this country, she said. That senior showing, that will not happen under my watch. Cruz nodded. Amen, he said. And then came the most chilling part of the hearing. The senator revisited the attempted assassination of Justice Brett Kavanaugh. In 2022, a man armed with a gun, handcuffs, zip ties, and duct tape traveled from California to Maryland intending to kill Justice Kavanaugh and possibly other justices. He was arrested outside the justice's home before he could act. Recently, that man was sentenced to just 8 years in prison. The Department of Justice had asked for 30. But the judge, appointed by President Biden, gave a lenient sentence, citing the defendant's gender identity as a mitigating factor. Cruz's outrage was palpable. Apparently, he said, it's okay to try to kill a Supreme Court justice if your politics are sufficiently woke. Bondi confirmed that the Department of Justice is appealing the sentence, calling it outrageous and unjust. She praised her prosecutors for their work and condemned the judge's leniency, making clear that will not happen under my watch. The exchange underscored a broader theme, one that has defined Washington's current era, the battle over the rule of law itself. To Cruz and his allies, the justice system under the previous administration wasn't blind, it was partisan. To Bondi supporters, her leadership represents a course correction, a return to equal justice, no matter the politics. But to the opposition, this new direction is just another form of political theater, one where justice bends not to ideology, but to convenience. And so in this hearing, the nation saw more than a debate over leaks, protests, or sentencing. It saw a question that reaches to the heart of American identity. Who decides what justice looks like? Was this about accountability or revenge? Was this about restoring faith in institutions or reshaping them for a new political age? No matter how you view it, one thing was clear. This hearing wasn't just about the past. It was a warning about the future. A warning that when justice becomes political, freedom becomes fragile. That when courts are attacked, from the streets or from within, democracy trembles. And amid the laughter and the jabs, the nation was reminded of something far deeper. The balance of power isn't a game. It's a promise. A promise that every American, whether judge or citizen, senator or student, stands equal before the law. In a time when truth bends under pressure and justice fights for breath, one question echoes through the halls of power. Can America still trust its guardians of the law? This hearing wasn't just a headline. It was a mirror, a reflection of how divided we've become and how desperately we need to find our way back to integrity. Because when politics becomes the referee of justice, no one wins. I'm your host, and this is Behind the Podium, where truth stands taller than power. If you believe justice still matters, hit like, subscribe, and share this message. Because silence is no longer an option.